Holy crap, I just had to record a video because I'm out here in the outskirts of a young city. Here I am. Oh, look what I'm looking at, by the way. Just this. So it's basically a little trail that leads to, as you can see, the trail leads literally to this little box that I'm in. I haven't been out here yet. While I'm recording, I don't know if you can see it. It's too tiny. Off in the distance, you can kind of see those clouds right around here. There they are. So if you can see that little cloud moving in formation, I had an epiphany about it because I was thinking about electromagnetic waves. Man, my hair's gonna be blowing all over the place. Who cares, right? Anyway, so as I looked at the birds, which I'm doing right now, every once in a while they turn trajectory. This huge flock, obviously migrating. They are sensitive to electromagnetic fields. So I think that's how they orientate themselves on the poles to kind of go south. That's how they don't get lost, and then they can always find their way back. So I'm watching them, and you see the fluctuations. You know, it looks like here they come. Let's see if I can get them. They're passing me now. It's like a small wave. Coming right past in a really, really thin tendril. Here they go. There you go. Just perfectly in this wave, and this looks like a sine wave. This. Layered up. Very symmetrical. Very organized. One could say it must be it's almost like they're perfectly entangled in a coherent state. They all think the same. Okay, there you go. What a shame. So anyway. So I had an epiphany that, this swarm, which has really good control of one of its senses. They have the perception, they can perceive electromagnetic fluctuations. I don't know how. I would love to see birds' vision, but I know that they are able to see electromagnetic fields in some way, or feel them, or experience them, align with them, whatever you want to call them. So the swarm of these guys can all see that, so they all have that sense. They all know that this is reality, but they're together, and they're all basically locked in a perfect, coherent, wave. They match resonance, right? And they all are perfectly aligned. But is it because they're looking at the others around them? I don't think so. I think that'd be impossible. I think that'd be impossible to use your external senses to be able to sense where your buddy was in, that close of a formation over that great of a distance with this much time. It's impossible. I think the only way they can do this is if each one rides the wave as perfectly as it can, with all of its experience and knowledge and training and life, to just focus on matching that resonance of the electromagnetic field that it's, or the wave, or what do you want to call it, electromagnetic wave. It's riding these currents across the earth. We know they're there. So you do it your best, and then the other one has to do the exact same thing, but just a tiny bit to the left or to the right, basically keeping just only the person that they can see in their sight, in a safe distance, right? That's the only thing they have to do. Master this wave, and just be close to this person or this person. And if everyone's doing this, you can see how they don't need to be coherently locked with their minds and know exactly what everyone knows to be able to move in almost perfect coherence and synergy. They just need to do their best. Like in their own little spot, in their own little section in space and time in the flock, they just really have to do their best. And then that carries them across the globe. Which, when's the last time you've gone across the globe? And I don't mean flying from place to place, but I mean, traversing the lands across the globe. I see those mountains, I'm going to go there. I'm not going to fly. I'm not going to land in an airport that takes me exactly there without the journey. So, they can fly around the globe every year, annually, riding that magnetic, I guess you would call it wave, or field, riding the magnetic field, electromagnetic field. That's what they're doing. So that I realized that society can have equivalents of these things, and some people get glimpses of it if they serve in these large, say serve a mission for your church, be part of something big where thousands of people are doing it, and it's, be part of a military, which is like a swarm of humans that all have to just operate like clockwork in order to have any trust on the battlefield. How do you trust your buddy on the battlefield? Well, you have to trust that he's like you and just focusing on his task with his most intensive purpose, like with all of his might. So that's how you can get that experience. Is those things, But really, if you don't search for those experiences, you'll never have them. And if you're not told about the experience in that form, that hey, society, humans, in order for them to be able to ride the waves of time, whether it's electromagnetic or anything beyond, we should probably be doing our best in our position. We should probably, instead of trying to see what's going on to that person, millions of connections away from you, millions of intentions away from you, millions of, what would you call it, interactions away, millions of interactions away. That's a good way to put it. Instead of worrying about that person, you can think about you, first of all. How am I existing in this world? If I'm shivering, it's a bit chilly. It's cold wind blowing at me. But I'm not cold. It's just my body's natural reaction. Anyway, so if you really see the person that you are and say, how am I going to survive, this wasteland, right? How am I going to get past that? And how do I make sure I don't hurt the people around me, or at least don't make life harder for the people around me? And if you think of those things, you can get these huge movements throughout society and history. I mean, you can make some big impacts when this happens. And I don't think humans are quite aware of how big of an impact something like that could do, or what that could bring. A society, that can amplify in their own space and time, in coherence with the person and people around them. And then you have this huge amplified wave of the universe that's capable of doing tremendous things and moving mountains and creating mountains. And look way back in time when they say we weren't very evolved. Look way back and see what those societies were doing without computers in the way we think of today. Those societies they didn't have cars with gasoline and gas stations, and they didn't have, this interfacing network of communication to be able to search for jobs in a very easy way without having to go door to door or wander around to the local town for a sign saying help needed. Here we are. Here we are with basically power to travel to the moon and now beyond, with the capability and power to travel to the moon and beyond. And we look back at what the societies built before us and the coherence of their seeming design across the globe, which makes you think, how connected were they? And what did they know? We already know the pyramid is essentially, it's a representation of Earth. Like, it's a geodetic, it's basically geodetic knowledge encapsulated into a physical form that you can use to potentially charge ions in the air and create clouds, seed clouds, and bring rain to the desert. It seems kind of like, can we bring rain to the desert today? Well, we're learning how. With Dubai did it. They've seeded clouds and made it rain in the desert. Some kind of world record rain or something. So maybe if we stop fighting and stop worrying about all of the fights that are going on out there as if it's related to us. There's only a couple of fights that every human could really say they're fighting, and that's the fight of extinction. All humans are fighting extinction, whether they want to or not. This is just how time works. But none of us can align behind that fight, because we've forgotten that it is a fight. Because we are so clever, and the people that run everything, the people in high positions of power, know that if you want to keep control, you're going to have to be that thing for them. You have to be something that matters to them. Be the fight for them, right? Something to fight for. This is why religions are so dangerous. Or this is why atheists believe religions are so dangerous, not knowing that atheism itself is an idea, is a frame to live your life, to measure your place in the universe around you. It's like a base existential concept that every human faces every time they feel the brisk of death sneak upon them, when the fear that they might die comes up. Every human has that fight or that need to know why. So, anyway, that's what a flock of birds in formation, look at this crazy here, this bird's in formation riding an electromagnetic wave, which is crazy. Anyway, this is why I love coming out into nature. So these are my adventures in Silicon Valley, a young little tech city.